Hello, this is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous coming to you on Friday night. Not alone. I have a friend with me. Peter Letzman is a fellow mediator and also a dear friend. And I wanted to bring him on to speak with you this evening. Due to some technical troubles, we'll be using Zoom instead of StreamYard, so I can't have the great banners going across. But anyway, we'll get this information to you. Good evening, Peter.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to share the screen with you.
Yeah, it's great. Great to have you back. Peter has done literally thousands of mediations. I have done hundreds, but he is my go-to person when I get into a situation where I need another opinion. And so I always appreciate his expertise. Tonight, we are going to speak about what not to do in using an attorney going through divorce. So last week we talked about 5 things to do. Today we're going to talk about 5 things not to do. And so I'm going to just simply read these 5 and ask Peter to comment. He actually came up with these 5 for us this evening, but I want him to comment and we'll have discussion about these topics. Okay, there are 5 points here that we're going to make. Number 1, don't expect your case to be like your friends, your family, or your bartenders. Peter.
Uh, I have to chuckle about the bartender because that indeed has happened to me where a person in mediation said, well, the bartender said I could do this and I could do that and all of this, and why can't I do that? Every case, every divorce is unique. I have there's always some nuances that you don't expect, you haven't seen before, whether it involves children. Sometimes you have one child, sometimes you have 8 children. Whether you have the length of the marriage, it may be a short 2-month marriage, or it might be a 65 years of marriage. They're all a little bit different. The assets are different, liabilities are different, houses are different, the vacation places are different. They're all, so you cannot say, oh, I did this, or I saw this on the internet, or my bartender told me, or cousin George got the farm, and so on. They're
Mm.
very, very unique. But the best thing that I would suggest, don't compare your divorce with someone else's. Just ask your attorney, is this the best we can do?
Mm.
You have to have your trust in your attorney.
Yeah, I totally agree, Peter. Everyone is different, and it can just be one nuance that's totally different. A retirement or businesses, or there is no template, unfortunately, to use for a divorce. So your case is going to be unique. And yes, there may be a few similarities, but you can't come to a definitive conclusion based on what someone has happened to someone else.
And just let me follow up on that, Kathy. Is your audience is nationwide, and each state has different jurisdiction, different laws dealing with divorce. Michigan, no fault, for example. Some other states still have fault divorces. And the other thing that we have to be sensitive to, every judge is a little bit different. Then there's no uniformity. There's uniformity in the law, but the interpretation of the law is a little bit different with each judge. So you may have had a judge that's very pro, let's say, husband, and you're in front of a judge that's very pro wife. So you never know what the situation is going to be. Depend and really trust your lawyer. Make sure you have a lawyer that you can trust.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, point number 2. Do not ask him or her to do something unethical. For example, Peter.
Well, the most often asked question of the lawyers is, do I have to tell them I've got the can of gold coins buried in the backyard, or I have a bank account in the Bahamas? Do I have to disclose all of that information, or can I hide that? The answer is no. Divorce, you have to have discovery, And as a matter of fact, in Michigan, we have a form that literally requires you to list all of your assets, all of your liabilities, your whole financial picture, investments, just everything that you possibly can think of. And it is a form that is signed as an affidavit. Or you may give testimony. There may be a deposition. The other side may depose you. In other words, ask you a series of questions, go into the other law office and just interrogate you. And that's part of the discovery process, part of the legal process. Whether
Mhm.
it's in writing or whether it's testimony, if you don't give, how do they say it, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that might be interpreted as perjury being actually lying under oath, which the technical word is uttered in publishing. It's a 7 to 20 year felony in Michigan. So you
Mhm.
don't want to do that. The other implication is that there's a clawback. If there's money that or funds that are at some time found out, then that could be brought into the divorce decree and make sure that or be assured that the judge is not going to look favorably on the ruling on how that hidden money is going to be divided.
And it can also void out your agreement.
Indeed, and the judge may create an agreement that you won't like.
Yeah, and best bet is just keep everything above board.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth. Okay, number three, do not ask him or her to help you punish your spouse because they are divorcing you. And you know, Peter, I added this several years ago to my opening statement. This is not the place to punish the other person because you don't have the energy, the time, and it only further complicates an already complicated situation.
I cannot disagree with you on that at all, Kathy. There's so much going on during the divorce. You think about children, finances, moving the husband out, just telling the friends what's going on, and all of that. I mean, that is a gut-wrenching experience. And if you have to add another factor, how am I going to punish? I mean, that's just it's insane. The best punishment that I have thought about, though, that you could do is come through your divorce successfully, civilly, and be successful as you go on in your life with your children, have a good life, show your ex that you have really overcome the burden of the previous marriage and you are just on a good path for the rest of your life. And he looks or she looks at that, and of course, that's going to be punishment enough. You don't have to create any type of punishment. I don't leave the punishment to other people.
Yeah.
Concentrate on your good health, your good financial health, physical health, mental health, and that of your children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the place, this is the cue for talking about a support group or a divorce coach or a therapist or someone who's going to allow you to vent all that you need to vent instead of using that energy of going after and punishing the spouse for sure. Point number four, do not withhold telling him all that he needs to know about the marriage. Peter, you want to explain that one?
Absolutely. You don't want to inadvertently sandbag your attorney. There might be just some crucial information that you have that maybe that you went on a trip with the girls to Las Vegas and whatever. Have don't hide that. Let your attorney know, because if he's in court and all of a sudden the other attorney knows about the trip to Las Vegas and that is blown out of proportion, your attorney is standing there with no plan, no strategy on how to counteract that type of evidence. So if you let him know in advance, the explanation can be made if it comes out, or the strategy may be you may want to put that out in front before the other side mentions that,
Mhm.
because
Now,
that
excuse me,
goes
sorry.
that goes to the honesty of the of your testimony if you're withholding some. And in trial situations, there is a axiom, a court rule that says if you disbelieve a person in a portion of the testimony, you can disbelieve or disregard the totality of the testimony. So if you have withheld a little bit, you're falsifying that testimony, and theoretically the judge and or the jury can totally disregard your testimony and believe everything the other side is saying. You don't want
So,
to be in that situation.
no, so let me ask you, first of all, there would not be a jury trial in Michigan, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how would a trip to Las Vegas, using that example, how would that relate to the divorce case?
Or you may show some guilt, some inability to manage the family. She left the spouse left the children unattended for a
Okay.
long period of time, spend a lot of money on gambling, and
Okay.
was
So
at the bar.
it does relate to the marriage
Oh,
and
it can very much be
so
related to the
if you
marriage.
took an innocent trip to Las Vegas, it's not a big deal. But if you went and spent all of the family funds after the divorce was filed, you're going to have further complications,
And
right?
Kathy, what you say is absolutely right. If you have a innocent trip, if you don't disclose it and the other side discloses it, they can paint it in whatever fashion they want to paint it, and they could make it a very ugly trip that was originally a very innocent trip. Then you're going to have to come back and rehabilitate yourself and try and,
Yeah.
bandage
Yeah.
the situation.
And the point is, don't complicate things any further than you have to, right?
Absolutely. Your attorney, again, like I say, trust your attorney, have a competent attorney. He'll know how to strategize, how to use that information. And the how could I say, the worse the information is, the uglier it is, the more important it is to let the attorney know. Truth is your
Right.
friend.
Yes,
I've heard
absolutely.
said.
Absolutely. Yes, it is indeed. It's always your friend, even the ugly parts. Okay, number five. Do not avoid asking or being afraid to ask good questions of your attorney.
People say that I'm intimidating. And I guess attorneys with their glasses and their briefcase and their fountain pens and all of those other things indeed are intimidating if you're not used to dealing with attorneys. And sometimes you just sit there and you kind of open mouth, listen to what they're saying, and you say, "Do you understand?" The attorney may ask you, "Do you understand that? Do you agree with that?" And you just, yeah, 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 I do. You have an absolute right to know what is going on in your case before it happens. So the attorney should tell you what the plan is, what's going to happen in court. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be testifying in court, he'll go or should go, or she should go with you to ask all the potential questions that you might be asked in court. And if you have any questions whatsoever, remember they used to say there's no such thing as a dumb question. Well, in divorce, there is absolutely no such thing as a dumb question. This is turf that you have never been on and hopefully never will see again. It's new to you. It's sort of complicated. There's different language, different terms, different procedures. Yes, you should know what's going on, and be prepared. Ask. And
Mhm.
the benefit of knowing what's going on is that everybody is afraid of the unknown. So
Mhm.
if you want to get rid of some of that fear and some of that anxiety that comes with the divorce, the process, whether it's a mediation or whether it's a court process, a motion or whatever, if you know what's going to happen, if you're familiar with that, if your attorney tells you, if you ask your attorney what's going to happen, you will not have that fear factor coming in and really kind of sitting on your chest.
Yeah. Let me just throw one extra thing in here as we're discussing this, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But I know in my support groups, I always talk to people about, and actually in mediation as well, in my opening statement. As difficult as it sounds, you have to go into divorce as a business transaction. And I know there are a lot of emotions, and that's where you take your emotions to your therapist, to your support group, to your best friend if they're knowledgeable. But when you are in the mediation or you're going through the divorce process, you have to look at, and I know it sounds cold-hearted, but you have to look at it as a business transaction. And when you do that, your brain kind of shifts. So you're looking at this as a business transaction, and that just uses a different part of your brain and allows you to be more effective as you move forward in this process instead of looking at the pain that is associated with this. And I know that there is a lot of pain, but when you're dealing with the attorney, we want to be as efficient and as effective as possible. We need to get the mindset of this is business that we are talking about. And many of you are at a total disadvantage because you haven't dealt in the business world. And that's where your attorney or your divorce coach is going to be helpful to you. But remember, you've got to compartmentalize. This is a business transaction. And as emotional as this occurrence, this trauma is, I have got to put on my business hat and have business sense in moving forward with this divorce.
Kathy, you're absolutely right on that. Is if you can make it a business transaction, it'll be beneficial to you, it'll be beneficial to the two, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
You really have to have some techniques, whether those are the deep breathing techniques. And
Mhm.
remember, one of the things that you do have available, one of the tools as a client, whatever the proceeding is, whether it's a deposition, whether it is a mediation, and even if it's a court proceeding, if the tension and the emotion is so overwhelming or even overwhelming, just tell the judge, Judge, I need a break. Or
Yeah.
to tell the mediator, I need the break. And they will
Yes.
give it to you. And go out in the hallway or in the bathroom, compose yourself, and come back ready to do the business.
You know, in my opening statement, I say if you need to take a break and have a cigarette break, even though you've never smoked a day in your life, today might be the day. It's yes, you need to take advantage of those breaks that you have the opportunity to have. So, Peter Letzman, as always, great information, great help. Peter is a mediator on domestic and on civil and on civil rights and everything else. And he's also an attorney, but he is the go-to person for mediation. I refer a lot of people because when I am divorce coaching or in my groups, I can't be their mediator simply because I'm not neutral. And that's something a mediator must be. So I refer them over to Peter. So, as I have done confidently in the past. So, thank you, Peter, for your great information, for being here today with us.
Thank you for having me, Kathy.
You bet.